Boy, I must say, this is a really, really nice backdrop right now. The way the morning sun is just kind of like creating this nice angelic-like halo of light coming through. Hello from Galactic Station. This is Lotus Globe, and I wanted to start off this morning on this lovely Wednesday morning talking to all the rest of my other fellow astral travelers. I wanted to talk about something that has been on my mind for the last few days, and especially this last weekend when I was up in Oshkosh, because I had some, rather interesting things happen to me that weekend. So I wanted to talk about the ego and how it often seems that the ego is often much maligned in a lot of spiritual circles. I mean, in a lot of, spiritual, healing, psychoanalytical circles. And, the deal is that we can't live without the ego. So all this so-called Buddhist, transcendental stuff about death of the ego and all that, I don't believe that. I believe that's nonsense. I believe it's outdated. And I believe that in this day and age, in this information age, when identity is all too important in order to preserve a sense of, ingenuity and authenticity, the ego is one of the most important things that I think is also very misunderstood. Now, I understand that there are a lot of negative connotations that are attached to the ego. It can inspire greed, it can inspire malice, it can inspire people with, this delusion of power where, they think they're a god who can rule among other men. So, there is that one side of it, but then there is the other side of it, which is all about generosity, and, it's that solar principle of just sharing your light with others, sharing your light and all the wonderful gifts that you have deep from in here, deep from in your heart. Though, of course, the sun is just as much, the home of the solar plexus as it is the heart. And I don't want to get the two mixed up. Because, I think the negative connotation is that, the sun expresses willpower, but, and so therefore it's like the ego is given that bad framework that it's presented in because, it's been all too easy for people to get wrapped up in their illusions of who they think they are, when really they're just, essentially like a patchwork, like a mosaic of cliches that they pick up from their culture all around them. So I think, a lot of the things that are preached in the media, and the fact that there are so many political parties out there, and each one of them has their own very inflated ego as far as, the morals that they like to preach about Medicare, about reproductive rights, about, preserving national parks. All the world's leaders have been infected with this very overinflated ego, and there's no one person that stands out from the rest that can be considered as better. It's like Obama was no better than Bush, and obviously Trump is no better than Obama, and so on and so forth. And that's as far as I'm going to go with politics. But it's important to also emphasize that the goal of the ego is to strive towards authenticity, to strive towards, that Gnostic realization of illumination with your true self, aligning your personal with the cosmic consciousness, your personal consciousness with cosmic consciousness. And that's very, very important, when you consider, sorry, I just finished breakfast, considering how, for me personally, in this last weekend, I broke up with a friend that I have been together with for 16 years. I had to end my friendship with him because I felt that he was trying to manipulate me in a way that was to try to dilute myself of any ego whatsoever. He is a Virgo with a Pisces moon and an Aquarius ascendant. So he has all those natural qualities of being liberal and humanitarian, but here's the thing, okay? His dad 2 years ago was A, making fun of the fact that I was suffering from depression, and B, was making fun of my age. Hey, John, I noticed that your hairline is showing. Well, the thing is, you do not say stuff like that around me. That's just how I am. Those are the types of things that I take personally because I consider death and mental health, and things of a very sensitive emotional nature to be very sacred to me, and as this dawning light of illumination is coming through the window, that I'm starting to realize that looking at this friend of mine and not understanding, that his dad, who he claims he loves, when really he's just practicing that Virgo, that virginal service of, just being moral and loving to his dad, regardless of, all the terrible things that he did to him growing up. It goes against what my Aries moon believes in. It's like, there's a point where you just can't say things that are going to be demeaning or degrading to another person, even if you think it's funny. Like the fact that I deal with depression on a daily basis. You do not say, as Brent's dad has said, well, John, I've been depressed, every so often in my life. I've just learned to, get over it. You don't just get over depression. There is a difference in the sense of depression as it's framed as a part of your own emotional world, and how you can nicely let it flow through through the ebb and flow of, the lake of emotions. There's a difference between that and depression being a chronic illness that will forever be this block that I am constantly working, psychologically to break down and to let flow very easily through my system so that I can digest it with the rest of all my other emotions.